Do not delay, do not delay. It is already too late. God has rung his bell for the last time. Awake, awake. If not, utter disaster will devour you, O seeker. My aspiration heart is God's sweetness song. My dedication life is God's fullness story. My Lord Supreme proudly treasures my willingness life and my eagerness heart. Those who are afraid of studying at the surrendered school founded by God Himself will never, never be able to please God. God is God's compassion eye fountain. Man is man's suspicion mind mountain. Humanity needs only one thing, the resurrection of its long lost faith in God. To feel and say that you love God, but God does not love you, is the startling and shameless revelation of your own insincerity. God is shocked to see our very, very poor attendance at His compassion, smile, feast. God tells us that if we want to be perfect instruments of His, then our own aspiration heart needs more intensity and our dedication life needs more purity. An earth-bound life I was, a heaven-free heart I now am.
Do you see any difference or special characteristics in North American students as opposed to students in other countries, specifically India? In other words, would your program of study and instruction be different, especially geared for North American students?
No, it won't be, because our path is the path of the heart. See, you are an American and I'm an Indian, and you can see, you can feel I have a free access to your heart, and you have a free access to my heart. You are a seeker, I am a seeker. Here we are in the television studio. I am not finding any difficulty, in answering your question or in entering into your heart and soul, in entering into your life of aspiration and dedication. And I feel the same. You also don't have any difficulty in entering into me and examining me whether I am sincere or I am of any service to you. So here the role of the heart that counts most, not the mind. If you use your mind, you may suspect me. If I use my mind, I will suspect you or I will doubt you. But we are not using your mind, I am not using my mind. I am using my heart, you are using your heart. So here we perfectly, fit in. Means you are offering your good thoughts, good will, good vibration. I am offering you my good will, good thought, good vibration. So here it is not the country. It is the acceptance of reality based on the heart and not on the mind. Because you are all heart and I am all heart, so no matter which country you come from, we perfectly fit in. Which we can easily exchange our thoughts, ideas, feelings, our inner capacities, awareness, realization without any difficulty. Because heart is oneness, and oneness is satisfaction, and satisfaction perfection. So if it is a mind, mind is division. Only when the light enters into the mind from the heart, through the soul, from the soul through the heart, when the light enters into the mind from the soul through the heart, the mind is illumined. Before that is not. But the heart, the soul has a free access to the heart, and the heart also has the free access to the soul. So the heart is most of the time is illumined. So when we offer our hearts to each other, then we are perfectly safe and we fulfill each other. in a divine way.
Supreme, 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 I bow to thee, 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 supreme, 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 I bow to thee, 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 supreme, 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 supreme.
And people who have accepted the spiritual life, and if they feel that they are superior to others, then their spirituality is next to nothing. Spirituality is not for superiority or inferiority. Spirituality is for union, oneness. Here, there is nobody superior and nobody is inferior. All spirituality is a song of oneness, universal oneness. So if one can sincerely sing the song of oneness, then he is doing the right thing. Nobody is superior, nobody is inferior. Only a oneness song we sing. Because people who are extremely sincere, extremely pure, then their sincerity, simplicity and purity will always save them from the outside world, from the outer ways of expressing or manifesting or realizing the truth. They will be always protected. Bad exists so that we can value good more than ever. Because if we know something is not good in us, then we appreciate something good around us. Otherwise, we will not value. It is always bad. Bad means less light. Bad, there is no, everywhere there is light, but where there is more light, abundant light, infinite light, we call it good. And when we see little light, we say it is bad. God is inside everybody. So there is a little light. In some cases there is little light, in some cases effulgent light, light infinite. So we are all making progress. When we value the light that is infinitely brighter, infinitely more illumining, then eventually you grow into that light. So bad is not, what you call bad is not as powerful or as soulful or as fruitful. Otherwise, bad is not something totally dark. That is no, and good is only trying to help the. It is like a weaker brother is being drawn by the stronger brother. A strong, in a family, if there are two brothers, the younger one is supposed to be weak, but the older one shows him how to be strong, how to be a good person. So it is, and the younger one also has to listen and obey the older one, that he wants to be as strong and as beautiful, as perfect as him. So what we say bad, it is not really bad, that it is all darkness, that is hopeless, useless. No, it is only little less light than the one that has so much light. Joy in infinite measure is the crown of spirituality. We have to see the difference between joy and pleasure. Life of pleasure and life of real joy are not the same thing. So you are saying joy, we use the term delight in a spiritual way. We use ecstasy, delight. So the more delight we can feel in the depths of our heart, the higher we go, and the deeper meaning of life we discover in our search for truth, for God. So joy right from the beginning. If I get joy while studying the alphabet, then I will continue. Whereas if I don't get joy, who wants to learn A after A, B? Why should it be B after A? It can be C. I start arguing with my mother. Then what can poor mother do? There ends my study. But just because I believe my mother happily that after A it is B and C and all, see, I learned the alphabet and how many books I studied eventually. So here also, if I get little joy from a flower, from a tree, from the ocean, from the mountain, then I will be inspired to spend hours in my heart garden. And sports, we feel physical fitness is of paramount importance. If we are physically fit, then we shall be able to work most diligently. If we are physically unfit, then we cannot accomplish anything. So physical fitness is of paramount importance, and sports definitely can help promote peace, because sports gives us joy. We compete with others, although there is rivalry, but we get joy from running, jumping, and doing other activities. Let us say Olympics. all the countries are meeting together. They show their capacities. And then somebody has to win, somebody has to lose. So the one that loses, the one who loses, prepares himself again for the next Olympic. Sports, it gives us the feeling of children. Children are always happy. They're all the time running and jumping and all. So sports can definitely help us to bring about world peace. Happiness. If there is happiness, then there is peace. If there is peace, then there is happiness. Peace and happiness go together. We do not have even an iota of peace. That's why we are unhappy. And because we are unhappy, we speak ill of others, we try to punish others, we try to destroy others. But if you have peace of mind, if you have peace deep within us, we accept the whole world as our own, very own.
Here, I do believe that you were originally invited to come here by the veteran athletes for their 7th World Championships.
Right.
What was your participation in that, sir?
I was in the opening ceremony. I offered my prayers for world peace and I gave a very short speech.
I think we have some videotape of that opening ceremony. Maybe you'd like to explain. This is, of course, your prayer.
Yes. Here I was praying for the world peace, and I'm extremely grateful to Australia for planting in a hard garden a beautiful peace tree, world peace, oneness world peace tree.
It's lovely. It's nice to see so many of the veteran athletes from all over the world come to Melbourne to be part of this. It must have been quite thrilling for you.
Right. People must not think of their age. They can only think of the spirit, inner spirit, indomitable spirit.
You've kind of proven that yourself, haven't you, really?
I'm trying.
You spent some 20 years under spiritual guidance, learning your
How
spiritual
to pray and
work,
meditate.
right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you also got involved in athletics, which I find quite interesting. That's unusual, isn't it?
It is absolutely necessary. The physical fitness is of paramount importance. If you are physically fit, then you will be able to pray and meditate regularly, and then we shall have both inner power and outer strength. They must go together in order to be a perfect human being.
One complements the other, in other words. You've been quoted as saying your spiritual inside helps you with your physical outside.
Absolutely. It is the inner power that has to come to the fore and then offer services to mankind.
You will forgive me, Chi Chun-Wai, if I say to you, you are not a physically big man, and yet you, with one hand, was able to raise 7,000 odd pounds in weight.
Right.
Now that's an enormous feat.
I entirely depend on God's grace. It is not my physical capacity. It is, but God's grace can do the impossible very easily.
There we have, but that's well in excess of 7,000 pounds weight you're lifting there with one hand.
Here I was lifting up in my body weight, which is with one hand. Yesterday at the studio, 73.5 was the actual weight, and my body weight was 70.5 kilos. It's a little 6 pounds more than my body weight.
That's amazing, absolutely amazing. But we shouldn't give the folk at home the impression that these are only the things you do. You also concentrate a great deal of your life on music.
Yes.
I'd like to talk about athletics for just a moment. Now, you are in the Guinness Book of World Records, and you are a world record holder in weightlifting. You have lifted over 7,000 pounds, as I understand it,
Yes,
with one hand, one arm.
Twice I did it, once with my right hand and once with my left hand. I did it.
How did you do it? That's a lot of weight, 7,000 pounds, Sri Chinmoy.
Again, it is all, as I said before, it is all God's grace. If we pray to God, then whatever He wants to do in and through us, my own body weight, I have lifted 100 times. And tomorrow, our philosophy is the philosophy of self-transcendence. We do not compete with anybody. We compete only with ourselves. If I'm a good person, I try to become a better person. If I'm better, then I try to become a best person, but not by competing with others. Only I know my own limitations. Yesterday, I know how much limitation I had, weaknesses. Today, I try to minimize it. Tomorrow, I will try to make it, diminish it completely. See, tomorrow, I will do something in my weightlifting world. About 2 years ago, I lifted my body weight. At that time, my body weight was 156 pounds, and I lifted it 100 times, and in front of the international judge. The same judge will come tomorrow to examine me, and I will try to better my timing. Yes, previously it was 23 minutes, and tomorrow I will try to do it in 15 minutes. So it's self-transcendence. I compete with myself. This is how we are trying to improve not only the physical, but the mind, the heart, and everything that we have and we are.
Why is it important to work on the physical strength as well as the spiritual?
Physical strength is if you are physically strong. I'm not saying I have to be the world's strongest man. Far from it. I don't want to be world's greatest boxer or wrestler. No, but if we have strength, some physical strength, not to fight, then our mind gets some nourishment. Our vital gets nourishment. This is something we are using for the right purpose. If I'm very weak, if physically weak, mentally weak, then I can, every morning I will get up and I'll have headache, stomach upset, and so many things, then it will torture. But if I'm physically fit, here physical strength is physical fitness. If I'm physically fit, then early in the morning I'll be able to pray and meditate and do the needful. That is why we give so much importance to physical fitness. While we are physically fit, and if strength comes from physical fitness, I feel it is quite acceptable.